This is the culprit. This is the tree that's caused all the commotion between the two.
Magnificent tree.
Beautiful tree.
Eucalyptus cinerea.
And how old is this tree, would you say?
This tree's, I would guess, over 30 years old.
Because you paid for taking down this tree.
I did.
How much did you pay?
Well, a little over $1,500.
Now, I want to be clear about what you're suing about. You're suing for the damage that this tree's roots have done to your driveway. And it will cost you approximately $2,500 to repair that damage.
That's
but
correct.
You're also suing him for $500. In addition, what is that?
That's to replace the concrete that I'm going to have to pull out and repair.
But it says tree removal. I don't understand what you mean.
It's tree roots removal. The tree itself has been removed. Now I need to have all the concrete
So in
at that end of my driveway.
In addition to doing the work on the driveway, there's some residual tree roots that remain on your property that have to be removed. So the total cost for you to repair your driveway is $3,000.
Exactly.
And that's what you're suing the defendant.
That's right, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Bone, you gave us a very interesting section here, which you say a tree, maybe it didn't start out totally on your property or totally on your property, but obviously here, if it begins to expand and a little bit of it goes on one side, a little bit goes on the other side, this section says you now own the property in common.
Correct.
And therefore would be responsible for whatever damage that tree did. And therefore, why wouldn't it be fair to say that you owe the plaintiff at least half the cost of the repair?
First of all, I paid for the removal of the tree.
You did?
Right.
In full?
In full. A little over $1,500.
But you're not suing her for her half of that?
No.
So theoretically, if we were to apply your law here, you didn't have to pay for the full amount of taking down the tree.
Correct.
Am I right?
I have a statement of facts saying that that tree was planted on his property.
Doesn't matter anymore. If that section is the law, it doesn't matter whose side it was on. It's grown as a body, as a thing, to be on both sides of the property. So if I were to interpret this legislation, then it would mean that both of you are responsible for the tree.
Judge, could I point out something?
Yes.
If you look at page 5, you'll see there's a footing, what I would call a footing there.
Here we go.
Okay.
Yes.
You'll see that concrete footing there on the left-hand side there. That is 7 inches thick, and it includes rebar, reinforcement bar. It runs the length of that planter box there. I don't know exactly how deep it goes, but I know it goes at least 18 inches because when we ground the stump down to 18 inches.
So you're saying this concrete would have prevented the roots from growing that way?
Would have prevented the roots from growing toward her
well,
property.
Roots are pretty, they're pretty resourceful.
But you'll find that tree roots are like electricity. They take the path of least resistance. So they all went over toward my side of the driveway, which had no 18-inch deep.
So they took a detour.
If you look at the next picture of my driveway, you can see that it is lifted out of the ground.
Yes.
If you look at the picture of her driveway, it's not lifted out of the ground.